Yo, what up? Alright, I have this idea. I'm just sitting here listening to some Funkadelic. You know what I'm saying? So, George Clinton, the funk man. Let's take it to the stage, sucker. Alright, yeah. Oh, man. This is 2021 right now. Okay. So, what I'm going to say is George Clinton and all the rappers and producers, or some rappers are the producers, as we'll say some names. Dr. Dre, So who else? Let me ride. So yeah, I wanna ride. So yeah, so all these, a lot of different producers, sample George Clinton with the funk. I understand, like, this is what our parents, their parents probably had, they were listening to youngins. They say, what Rakim say, we chopped up jazz, we listened to records that our moms and pops had. 1, 2, 3 times 3, 369. I'm not making this up. I'm gonna show you something real quick. Look up. Open your eye. Do you see it? The crescent moon. So we in the season of a new moon. I want to get you outside, probably, more than likely. I'll block this light so you can kind of see it. See? I'm gonna zoom in some too. I get past that light with my hands. Now I gotta redo it with my other hand. Yeah. So yeah. Because it's that, I'm going to zoom out so you can see like the little crescent on it. See, it is a crescent, it's not full. It's like, maybe 30% maybe. But anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about. But that is very significant. Like Kunsu, Ankh Ofna Kunsu, or Het Heru. But you look, those are deities in a Kemetic or Egyptian pantheon. So back to George Clinton. Subliminal. But yeah, back to what I was talking about with George Clinton. So I had this idea. All those times that people were sampling George Clinton's records, all those records, made X-Clan, Public Enemy, a lot of different crews, a lot of different rap acts. I just name a few right now. I just see some signs right now while I'm ready to park. But yeah. So 3:17, John 3:17. Okay. So George Clinton, why didn't they do the songs with him? And like he can get his band to play something new, something brand new, and they would chop or sample it up. They're just like DJs. Producers are like, when you see a rap producer, most of them used to be DJs when they first came in. So the beat was chopped of a chopped of a flowing music. Whether it's R&B, funk, rock, hard rock, anything has been sampled. MIA has been sampled. And no one on the corner has Swagger Like Us. Swagger Like Us, those 4 rappers on one song. And that was right after she did the song. But anyway, let's back to George Clinton. Think about how it is, how rap is, like an idea with repeated, or a beat repeated in order in stopping a flow of the energy. So if it's blocking the flow of energy, then it's not blocking. Not just say blocking the flow. It's just chopping the idea up, and then it's making more ideas out of a. That's why it'd be so many songs on a rap album. But like when you look at those albums back in those days, they was just maybe like you wouldn't get too many of those songs. You probably would get like 8 or 9, sometimes 10 songs at the most. That was like, you know, sometimes. But if it wasn't a double album, but it's chopping what it is that's flowing. So why didn't they do songs like why did he produce something new with his band? Like he has a full band. I actually got to see him perform live. I was going through. If I still had this ticket, I always keep it right here with me. I'm gonna keep it going. Let's keep it funky. Oh, I usually chop it up if I'm doing something, but I don't think if I have it on me still like I used to. I think I do. What is this? No, that's not it. But anyway, man, I thought I had it with me. But anyway, but yeah, what I was saying is, why didn't they do any new information of flows, him doing any new music? That actually stops his progress. Well, he was still coming out with albums, but he'd come when they're taking his old energy from his old music, from like it doesn't keep him any way to keep relevant. And he was like, you know, like they inducted him into the Hall of Fame later, like in his career. Like he was doing it for a long time. They usually give it to him early for other groups. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll just say people of Caucasian descent. So like I was seeing they had everybody else on there. It was like they would have got it earlier. They could have done more music with the younger artists. You know, instead of them using their old music, like sampling it up. So they could have at least, like, to me, I feel like that could have helped him, or like not just him, but a good bridging of a gap. See, that's when they give him the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame later. To me, I feel like they were better than Rolling Stone. But I know what people say, oh, it's different genres. But yeah, but then they can still make music a lot later in their career too also, instead of people taking their old energy. So old energy, it's just like keeping, say like it's a cycle. So I'll just say I'm a melanated person. So that some people say, they call it black, so-called black, or so-called African American. I don't go by any of those titles. So we got to think about it. So if we're the ones with soul that keeps coming back over and over, and they're not, that's why they keep making, well, whatever we make, they'll, like I've been noticing, you know, around different people, or use those genres who after we've used it. So why don't we do like more of like a fusion of everything? You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I'd be thinking like, why not nobody do a fusion of everything? If we created all different types of music, fuse it. That's what we've been doing with, like, cause hip hop, you can sample anything. So why don't we make like, I don't understand like why the people, the rappers or producers didn't, whatever his band, they could have made new music and that's new energy. But we never thought like that because it was always sample this record, sample this record, sample this record, and also sample his more records in his later records. I'm like, man, how can, then I got to see him in one of my old videos. You can see it's in my probably my not a playlist, but I have it in like an old videos, and you just type in George Clinton Funkadelic. I was out in Atlanta at that time, and got to see his last show ever in Atlanta. I'm like, wow, that was crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to, you know, but yeah, it was a good thing. But like the band sounded amazing, and I'm just saying, like, why didn't they like the producer? I know we was usually taught to get the samples, you know, or sample the old stuff. Man, that could have been a bridging of a gap of time, or of generations. I know sometimes he would be around the rapper. Okay, he would be around the rapper sometimes. Sometimes you see him in the videos with them too also. But it would never be any, it would be like a salute, but make the music with them, like new music. And like let them do the new band stuff, like if you sampling it or whatever, you can use it and then you chop it up a new flow of energy for them in that area. That would have been like, see, but we don't, And just how we take energy, hip hop, it's just like they'll take a small piece. I was listening to something just now. I was hearing it. The drums he was using, I'm like, that could have been. I'm like, I was saying, like, I was just listening to something like, I know that somebody, I've never heard nobody sample that actual drum pattern. I'm like, listen to him, I'm like, man, but that's what I'm saying. But him doing that newly in the studio too, also with the rapper, and then they doing that, and then probably doing that their chopped up spin on it or remix version to it too. Like if he makes it new, and then they sample it off the sample what he just made, new energy, new energy into the flow, instead of us sampling all those records. At first, I remember when Public Enemy, I remember they had on their second album, It Takes a Million to Hold Us Back, I believe. Yeah, I should be right. Public Enemy, they use some stuff. And then it was talking about how they didn't want them using sampling records on that second album, from their first album. So from their first album, and then the second album, it was talking about they was taking them to court about using the samples. And then they had, people have to start paying for it. So then I started thinking, like, but that's the same energy, just sampled, just chopped up. So then now they let them do it now. Like, you got to think, people with soul, or like they say soul in Spanish, S-O-L, soul, S-O-L, but we the soul brothers, soul sisters. I call myself a cosmic carbon chaos being. So how can you define that? That's nothing and everything at the same time. So if I'm a cosmic carbon chaos being, if I'm that, how can you define me? I'm everything and nothing at the same time. So that is chaos. What funk is actual chaos. It's like jazz, chaos, but he done it his way with a lot of boom, 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 and like a lot of different stuff. Like a lot of that funk is chaos. Like what's with rap? It was built off like the dance, all that was like all graffiti and all that. Everything was built off of it, but it was just they learned how to do it. They took away the instruments in those times, so they got the DJ and the records out in the Bronx with Grandmaster Flash out there that was sampling those records. So they took away the instruments. They took away the instruments in the schools. That's what, you know what I'm saying? So they just started doing it that way. So when they taking the instruments from school, what is George Clinton? 136, 316, how you look at it. 317, I'll show you. Look up those verses, John 3:16, John 3:17. I'm not a religious person. I'm just a very spiritual person. So what I'll say is, so that's what I'm saying. That's chaos. Chaos maintained. So if you listen to funk, when they sampling those records, they sampling the chaos. Like you can really dance to his music. Like if you listen to like the beat be up. He said I was listening to some. He said on that one album, I forgot the name of the album. I can't really think of the name. I got in the. I was listening to it earlier. He was saying how I was listening to some funk, like the Doobie Brothers. It sounded like they funk had a 3 on it, because he used to go get it off the 4, but he had like it was like off the 4. But then he was like, it sounded like it was like off on, and that's the best, because I understand, because that's if it's off on, then you don't know, off or on, turvy is balanced. If it's balanced that way, then or if it's just because this chaos is maintained, but he's like Duke Ellington. I learned he didn't like to. He had learned how to start playing in like a week, like reading, like learning how to play. I'm like, and he said, I ain't got time to learn. He said, I'm just gonna start playing. I'm like, what? And that's like George Clinton is like that to me. It's like I just feel like he just feel it. It's just in him. He brings it out. I remember I seen a video of Oh, it was so amazing. If you get a chance to find it on YouTube, you can type it in. If it should still be on. George Clinton, Sarah, S-A-R-A, S-A-R-A, and I think it was, oh man, I forget her name. It wasn't Rosie Dame. It's another, I don't think it was Rosie Dame. But yeah, it was, check that out. George Clinton and Sarah, they was singing on stage. That was a good look, and it sounded really nice because George Clinton was singing on stage with them. I'm like, that was amazing. But yeah, so like that's what I'm saying. What if they did new music? That was out like in California and performing that. So yeah, that was. It was like I saw Bilal. He wanted to, but he said, "No, I just want to hear it." So like I was like, that would have been amazing. Everybody, but he said, "That's the thing. You can if it sounds right, you said just leave it alone." And he was enjoying it. So I saw that. It was dope. But you'll see it. It's out in California, I believe. They perform that. So I'm actually probably gonna watch it tonight. Now I'm thinking about it. But yeah, George Clinton. What if they did some more music together? Like did some music together. They was just singing some songs they had. I think they was singing "Glorious" with George Clinton. That was the song they were singing on stage by Sarah. Sarah is a good. It's like a group that came out. Still they call it Sarah, the collective creative partners. But yeah. But anyway. But George Clinton, I wanted to give an idea out. Like I don't understand like why the producers haven't made music with George Clinton, like on the him of composing it, and they doing like a sampling of some new flowing music. He can come up with like that. You know what I'm saying? So they chop it up and it's brand new, a new idea, not something old. Because like you got to think about it. When people live in a cycle that have soul that died, 7-Eleven just passed by Magic and Strong. When people with us like us that have soul. That soul in Spanish means son. We have souls. They call us what? Soul brother, soul sister. Think about it. So when we have soul like that, and some people die, they would get reincarnated into a cycle. But you gotta think about it. That cycle has damn near been over of the reincarnation. So you gotta think about it. These people they keep coming. That's why, like when the children hear the music, the new rap or whatever, and if they had sampled it at that time. Because it's almost like their parents, they was maybe alive at that time, but maybe they had to come back reincarnated as somebody else, and then so it's like everything is in a cycle. That's why I say the old folks be like, the older people be like, "Oh man, y'all listen, y'all this is something we used to listen to back in the day. It just sounds different, yeah, because it was sampled. It's just an idea broken down and repeated." So why I don't understand the idea of, like, why didn't they sample or do anything with them new? It's just an idea, but yeah, crazy idea. It was a random. I was just driving, listening, and I said I don't want to forget this. I don't want to write it down while I'm driving. So I said just go ahead and record it. So I want to give props up to the Funkadelic George Clinton. We was at the Fox Theater. Peace.